can be a little rough. It makes you feel like you're 3 foot tall. When it's just you, well, times can be tough. When there's no one there to catch or fall. 3 foot tall. Like you're 3 foot tall. 3 foot tall. When there's no one there.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, today's video is gonna be a little interesting. Definitely interesting for sure. What is going on? It's your boy Ryan, aka Big Cloud Gaming, back again with another one. Hope you guys are enjoying your day. Let's go ahead and start, man. Let's definitely go ahead and start. So, Microsoft just revealed, I'm gonna start with Microsoft. Microsoft just revealed a new UI for the Xbox One console, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it looks oddly similar to the PlayStation 4's UI. Now, here's a few screenshots on the screen real quick. You cannot deny that the inspiration clearly wasn't taken from the PS4. Now, what I find interesting about this UI, right? They also removed Cortana. Yes, they removed features just for this UI. So not only is it like it's less crowded than it was before, but they changed it. So this is like the 6th UI change for the Xbox One, something around there, right? Like around the 6th UI change. So they changed the UI from that to this. They removed Cortana, the voice, and now you have just a simple layout that looks very similar to PlayStation 4. Now the PS4, Sony went with a simple, you know, pretty much side-by-side, up and down sort of, you know, layout for the actual system. This is exactly the same thing Microsoft's going for. And if you look at the actual profile where it's at, where you see the gamer score and the account name, that's exactly pretty much the same as the PS4. The PS4 user name and all that is in the center, but it's up top. You know, you see all this stuff. You see your trophy level. You see who's online, etc., etc. This is pretty much a carbon copy. It looks exactly the same, and I'm not even gonna lie. Is it bad? No. Like John Kramer would say.
They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
You know, it's funny how old that clip is, you know? It feels just like yesterday I was young when I first saw that. But nah, it's crazy. It still holds a lot of truth to this day. Imitation is the biggest form of flattery, you know? Now, there was even a report going around that Microsoft acquired some developers who worked, or not even developers, I think they were just some creators who worked on God of War. And they're using them for the Initiative Studio. So that's what they're doing as well for there. So obviously, clearly, Microsoft took inspiration from Sony this generation. Clearly, they clearly see how big of an impact God of War made. God of War not only sold well for PlayStation 4, but it actually inspired gameplay for a lot of other games and characters. For example, if you look at the new Marvel gameplay that was leaked for the Avengers game, Thor fights exactly the same as Kratos, legit. And it's crazy. It's like almost a carbon copy. Even the pulling the axe back and throwing it, you know, basically the same thing with Mjolnir. He does the exact same. He fights the same way, you know. So whatever Microsoft is going to be working on with their next game, I would not be surprised if it was something in Norse mythology. I just would not be surprised, or something cool like that. But clearly Microsoft is taking inspiration from that. As far as the user interface is concerned, what is this, like the 6th one, right? The 6 different user interface. Again, you look at this user interface, it looks cool, it's snappy, it's pretty much simple like the PS4, you know, the simple scroll back and forth, up and down type thing, it's fine. But again, the similarities are obviously there. For example, you see the user score or the gamer score. Of course, on PS4, it would be your trophy level. You'll see your avatar, right? You see that on the Xbox version, and you see the folders and whatnot. When you click on a game, it opens up like who's on there, who's playing it, who has it. So clearly, again, they took inspiration from Sony. Whether or not they're going to keep that design going into the Scarlet remains a mystery. We shall see. I'm pretty sure Sony will probably keep their user interface the same. If not, probably tweak it a bit just to give you better updates for like events. You know, that's another cool way. They did talk about that a long time ago, where they were saying we're looking for ways to get information to you without necessarily having to go over the top in certain areas. So that actually led to what was it, that streaming event, which was basically state of play. So again, I'm expecting more than likely with the PS5 an updated version of the UI where notifications and whatnot will probably be a lot more efficient. When it comes to updates and whatnot, they probably won't interfere with games as much, right? They'll probably just be more subtle and more, handled a lot better, especially announcements when it comes to E3 and whatnot. I can see them doing that for the new user interface. But to stay on topic with Xbox and this version, again, it looks fine. I don't necessarily see this as a big L for Microsoft at all. We see this in the gaming industry more times than none, where a company takes inspiration from an idea and actually creates their own version or, their own variant of it. Sony takes ideas from Nintendo, or they might take a few hints from Nintendo, right, and incorporate it into theirs. Even though they might have, let's say, the same type of design, they definitely take features, I would say, right, and incorporate that into theirs. And the same thing can be said about Nintendo and everybody else when it comes to online and when it comes to Microsoft copying, Sony in this case. Again, it happens. It's all over the place. This is how it is on the market. All right. Now, looking at the actual interface before I move on from it, again, it definitely does have a lot of similarities, especially with the position of like where the picture is, and you can see your gamer score and all that. That's pretty much a carbon copy again of what you see on the PS4 with your trophies and whatnot and your avatar. So again, you see this stuff. It's nothing new. Nothing new at all, but it looks good. Whether or not Microsoft's going to continue with this particular format going into Scarlet, we shall see. Nothing's been confirmed, so obviously we don't know what the Scarlet UI is going to look like. But for their 6th version of an Xbox One UI, I would say that this is definitely the better one. Simple, elegant, and, to the point. So good on Microsoft for at least changing it to something simple for gamers. Moving on. So this right here, this is definitely going to be the last story for today. The reason why I'm talking about this is because, well, I can already see the fake outrage that's going to be pouring out from this. I can see people coming out of nowhere using this as ammunition, or more than likely using this to try and go, well, my side didn't do this for developers, and then they're going to look stupid when I break this down to you. So one game that's already been under fire off of this, but ironically, it was forgotten as soon as the game dropped. As soon as the game dropped, everybody was praising the game, calling it beautiful, X amount of things, saying, man, those extra hours of work really did produce an amazing game in terms of just storytelling and in terms of world design, right? And that was Red Dead Redemption 2. Guys, remember Red Dead Redemption 2 supposedly made, employees work mandatory overtime hours. And of course, people took to the internet and voiced their frustrations. Oh, there's no way I'm supporting this game. Never. I'll never support a company that works their employees like this. Even though they failed to realize that Rockstar Games is one of the biggest, if not the biggest third-party publisher out there, for one, third-party developer out there for one, but also they are their own thing. They always go over the top when it comes to the games. They do it with GTA. This is the reason why GTA took forever to come to the PS4. It took a while for them to release that. It really did. When the game eventually dropped on PS4 and Xbox One, it sold even more. Let me tell you why. Because the quality was there. The extra amount of detail was there. The fact that they painstakingly recreated that world for you guys on PS4, you guys were hooked. It looked that much more better. And the same thing can be said about Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2 looks amazing. The amount of effort that went into the ground, the trees, the animals, the way they act, right? The amount of wildlife. It's crazy. You would think you're legit in the real world. There were so many birds, so many different variants of wildlife, and they would legit randomly show up in random places like typical birds and whatnot would. It's not like, you can just go to set areas and find all the particular birds or animals. No, you will find them scattered. And that's how nature works. Climate changes. That's what they did with Red Dead 2. It looked that amazing. So the fact that I'm reading this, right? And ironically, they didn't even confirm this. These are from contractors claiming that they got it worse than developers because they're quote unquote under peer pressure to finish their projects at their scheduled time. Now, first of all, right there, that should be a red flag. If you feel that you're under peer pressure because you, keyword you, cannot finish your job a job that has been, designated to you, a job that could have went to somebody else who clearly can get the job done in the time. Obviously, you're not putting in the effort. This sounds like Naughty Dog trimming the fat in a weird way. And I don't mean to sound harsh, but it does sound like that. These developers right here, again, these developers already had their deadline. They know they got to reach a deadline. The game supposedly is going to come out in February, right? That was the rumored date. It was coming out in February. In order for them to reach that February deadline, they most certainly have to be on a strict, working basis right now. They got to get that stuff done. So again, maybe they're under peer pressure, in terms of that again, but it's like this: if you can't finish your job and if you can't do it, then you're subject to disciplinary action. And that's just how it is in everyday work. You know what I'm saying? You always have your deadline. You're always responsible for your share of the work. So since this is a project and a project that has to be out on a specific, time and date, right? Then obviously they're going to be a little bit more harsh here, and it's going to be on crunch. And that's basically what they broke this down to crunch. Crunch basically means, we have this set time. It has to be met. If it's not met there, then obviously we'll be talking in the office type of thing. That's basically what that is. Again, looking at this information, this is one of those stories that you already know is going to be swept under the rug as soon as this game gets that release date. As soon as it's out there on the market, everybody is not going to be talking about this. Everybody's going to be praising how well the game looks, plays, story, all that. They're going to be praising this. And you don't believe me? Just look at what happened with Red Dead 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, if you don't count that ridiculous online, you cannot deny that Red Dead 2 was not one of the best games that dropped this generation. It was great. It was great for what it is. It had a great story. It was great closure to a lot of characters. It definitely set up a lot of things, and gave you more context to who they are. But that's pretty much it for Red Dead 2, though. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. But for them to go that far in detail with not just the story and characters and the foreshadowing, but the overall world, and that's based on the extra amount of hours that they put into the game just to painstakingly give you that recreation. Again, just imagine what Naughty Dog can do with that type of level of, commitment. This game right here is clearly trying to, Naughty Dog is clearly trying to go for the win right now. They're clearly trying to go for Game of the Year, right? So if they're going for Game of the Year, they know there is a specific template that they have to beat and meet to be Game of the Year with The Last of Us Part 2. And that is Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2, and hell, even God of War are their basis that they're going to have to reach in terms of, winning Game of the Year. That's what they have to do. And judging from the way things are looking with that game, with just the first gameplay segment we saw, and of course the overall, first reveal, the game is looking like it's going to be dope. And I don't really see this being a big L on anybody's case. I see this being a good thing. So this is actually going to be a dope thing. So, that's my thoughts, man. That's really my thoughts. I don't think anybody should be using this as pretty much ammo, even though I'm pretty sure people are already doing it. I would not be surprised if people going, hey, Microsoft's new strategy, right, is to do X amount of things, buy studios, this, that, and the third. Oh, look, we're going to treat Sony developers, better, make them work normal work hours. But then they fail to realize, well, you can actually set yourself up for a massive counterattack with stupid statements like that. For example, they'll go, yeah, you guys are working normal hours. That's why your games look basic, right? And I'm just saying, this is just a normal comment, right? They'll say, oh, your games look basic. All they are just the same typical multiplayer games with the same pay to win aspects or dumb shit like that. And then they'll, flip it. So it's like nobody wins in that regard when you do stupid stuff like that. You really can't. I would say let these developers push these games to their max. Don't worry about the developers doing that, because at the end of the day, once their game is done, they're getting their money back, especially depending on the amount of effort they put into it. I highly doubt any of us were really cared about how many hours went into Arkham Knight when Arkham Knight came out. When we first saw that gameplay segment with the Batmobile and the world, none of us were sitting there going, damn, how many hours they put into this, man? I'm pretty sure they overworked them for this because this is absurd. Nobody was saying that. They were saying this game looks great. The commitment was there. And guess what? We bought into it. We bought it. Hell, a lot of us bought the DLC for that game. I didn't, but a lot of people bought the DLC because they liked the world. They liked the tracks. They liked all that a lot. So, again, this is nothing new. Let the developers create their masterpieces and let's enjoy them and support them, especially if we deem those masterpieces worth it. That's just how I feel. You know, the Telltale series, you know, again, Telltale Games is no longer a thing, but even Telltale Games, I thought Telltale Games did good for what they were, but again, a lot of people didn't necessarily see that. And Telltale Games, you know, was struggling. They were, you know, putting out, I would say, well, even though technically they're all incomplete, you think about it, right? You buy it piece by piece. But again, Telltale Games went the extra mile with their games, and a lot of people didn't support them because they didn't necessarily, you know, find those games good. But again, the effort will show. You know, if you put in the effort, it shows. Look at I'm Second Legion Red Dead. Let's use Resident Evil 2 Remake, right? Everybody called Capcom one of the worst before Resident Evil 2 came out, the remake. Look at how well and painstakingly, like, real Resident Evil 2 Remake looks compared to a lot of games out here. Look how good that looks. Again, the effort will always show. If the effort is there, best believe you will buy into it, I will buy into it, and all of us will be happy. So that's just my take on it. All right, that's my take. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. This is Big Cloud Gaming. I will see you guys on the next one. Y'all be blessed. Y'all be easy. And I'll see you tomorrow for the RGT podcast. Much love to you guys. Later.